this past weekend, just actually Friday afternoon, thousands of pages of documents were released by a New Jersey legislative committee that's been investigating this incident for months. People are still going through these documents because it's a lot.
Yeah.
But in these documents, there's
a lot of people to punish.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of people for Christie to punish, yeah.
Right.
But this is something I thought was interesting. You remember in the original emails that we discussed quite a lot last week, where one of the lines between Christie aides in the emails or the text, I don't remember if it was in the email or text, was speaking of the Fort Lee mayor who they were seeking to punish, which seems to be the major theory right now, although there's others. There was a line where it was something like, it's going to be a tough November for that little Serb. Yeah. And maybe you're wondering, what does that mean? Well, we found out later that the mayor of Fort Lee is actually Croatian, not Serbian, but that's probably what they meant. They were speaking of him.
Right.
But why is it going to be a tough November for him? Oh, it's because in those documents, it turns out Port Authority cops were told to tell people when asking about the lane closures to the bridge that the lane closures were Fort Lee Mayor Mark Sokolic's fault.
Right.
Kind of hard to be reelected mayor of a city when you're being told that the major issue in your city, the traffic jam that's causing hours and hours of traffic, and EMTs can't get through, and a 91-year-old woman dies because EMTs can't get there fast enough, and a young child goes missing and they can't find her quick enough because of the issues going on.
Well, luckily they did find her.
But yeah, it's really easy to blame the mayor and for that mayor to be punished by voters not wanting to vote for him in November.
And they don't even know that he literally has no power over this.
Yes. So what comes out is that the mayor says that he writes to Bill Baroni, who was the deputy executive of the Port Authority, who was Christie's appointee.
Right.
Many members of the public have indicated to me that Port Authority police officers are advising commuters in response to their complaints that this recent traffic debacle is the result of the decision that I, as the mayor, recently made. This is what's really amazing too. This guy goes out of his way to get this traffic, to just talk to somebody. He can't get a hold of anybody there. And even through this all, because he's trying to help out his constituents, he even writes this. I am writing this correspondence. This is on September 12th. I am writing this correspondence to you, and am refraining from copying any other party in hopes that a recent decision by the Port Authority will be reversed quietly, uneventfully, and without political fanfare. Sadly, his hopes that, this is just a big mistake, maybe it is an actual traffic study, maybe there's an actual reason this is happening, and he just has to get a hold of someone, tell them what's going on, and it'll be fixed by, New Jersey. Unfortunately, maybe if he did copy the New York Port Authority on this, Pat Foy, who was the person who did reverse this, Patrick Foy, who did reverse this, who was Cuomo's appointee for the New York side of the Port Authority, maybe this could have been fixed sooner. But this guy was just trying to be as helpful as possible, not piss anybody off, because maybe in the back of his head he was thinking, this could very well be political retribution if I push it anymore. Who knows what will happen? Who knows how long this will go for?
And that's also just a tremendously courteous thing to do. You're saying to somebody, look, I'm not assuming the worst. We just need to get this cleared up.
Also in these documents, people are still pouring through it, but other things of note is how Baroni, this guy who is Christie's appointee to the Port Authority, tried to squash these press stories when Wall Street Journal reporters started to call in asking about them. Because I guess they thought, who possibly uses the George Washington Bridge who could be of any importance? I mean, it's only the largest, most busiest bridge in all the country. I mean, no way. Oh, wait. The Wall Street Journal reporters who were trying to get a story out of this actually used the bridge.
Right.
And they were wondering, why the hell are we sitting in traffic 4 days in a row?
Right.
Also of note is that when Pat Foy, who I just mentioned, was the New York Port Authority Cuomo appointee, who did end this for Fort Lee, he wrote this really long email to why they were intervening.
Right.
And Christie aide, who's his friend Wildstein.
Not my friend. I barely knew him in high school. He was a loser.
Yeah, that was Christie said.
I was the head of the baseball team or whatever.
Well, he calls Pat Foy, by the way, after reading the email. He calls him in another email to one of his aides, He calls him a piece of crap for helping out Fort Lee.
Yeah.
Yeah, nice guy.